Tens of thousands of people take to the streets of the Thai capital with a common purpose: to oust Thailand's longest-serving leader from office.
Thaksin ชินวัตรได้ยินหรือเปล่า Thaksin Thaksin Thaksin
The political fortunes of Thaksin Shinawatra, one of Thailand's richest men, have plummeted in the past year. Just 12 months ago, he was considered the man responsible for restoring the nation's economic health and stability. But a string of political and financial scandals have turned many who once voted for him against him.
ผมคิดว่าตอนแรกเขาก็น่าจะเป็นคนดีนะครับผมน่าจะเป็นคนดีแต่ว่าตอนหลังนี่เขาก็มาแล้วออกลายเยอะครับผมออกลายเยอะไม่มีความจริงใจและไม่เปิดเผยแล้ว
At the core of this growing dissent is the sale of shares in the Thaksin family's telecommunication company ShinCorp to the Singaporean government. A $2 billion tax-free deal.
ผมพูดสั้นๆว่าเขาขายความชอบธรรมความชอบธรรมเนี่ยมันเหนือกว่ากฎหมายเหนือกว่ากฎระเบียบทั้งสิ้นคนไทยถือมากเมื่อขายความชอบธรรมแล้วเป็นผู้นำไม่ได้
Veteran politician Major General Chamlong Srimawang, a devout Buddhist, introduced Thaksin Shinawatra to politics, mentoring him at the start. Now he's urging his one-time protégé to stand down. The sale of ShinCorp, the final straw.
แล้วก็รู้ว่าเขาทำผิดพลาดจะเป็นผลเสียหายแก่ประเทศชาติอย่างมากซึ่งเรายอมไม่ได้กรณีหลังสุดก็คือการขายหุ้นชินคอร์ปให้กับสิงคโปร์
In an attempt to silence this urban uprising, Prime Minister Thaksin has called an early election, 3 years ahead of schedule. Today he's in the rural heartland amongst his most ardent supporters.
มีนายกคนนี้ที่เรียกว่าทำงานหนักมากแล้วก็เข้าใจชาวบ้านระดับรากหญ้าที่เขาพูดทั่วไปแล้วก็ประเทศไทยเนี่ยมีประชาชนที่เป็นระดับรากหญ้าเนี่ยก็เป็นส่วนใหญ่ของประเทศด้วยค่ะ
But despite the campaign trail fanfare, this election looks like it's turning into a political farce. For Thailand's 3 main opposition parties have announced they are boycotting the snap poll. Boycotting the election may turn out to be a clever move because under Thailand's rules, a new government cannot be formed unless all 500 party list seats are filled. And the government needs to gain at least 20% of the vote to win each uncontested seat, and this looks unlikely given its unpopularity in the south. The opposition Democrat Party says that far from being undemocratic, it was their only choice. Why boycott it?
Because we don't want to lend him the legitimacy. We don't think that the elections could be about whether he has done things legally. We think that the elections could not replace the courts. We think that it is more appropriate that we let the public see the Thaksin regime for what it really is.
The government admits to being taken by surprise by the opposition party's tactical manoeuvre.
So we don't expect to have this situation, but we have to go on, have to, even we have only one major party to run in the election and the other party is a small party, but to protect the democratic rule, it's our duty to go on and try to bring the election on April 2nd to be very transparent, very fair to everyone.
Opposition leader Apisit Vejijiwa says the boycott is driven by the lack of means to remove a Prime Minister who acts above the law.
Well, I'm sure that in many mature democracies, there are mechanisms to deal with the wrongdoing of leaders. In America, you allow an elected president to be impeached. In many parliamentary democracies, it's very normal for people to demand the resignation of elected leaders. Leaders who are elected have to be accountable and responsible for their actions. They cannot evade, they cannot remain above the law.
But it's not just political foes or former supporters who are shouting for the Prime Minister's resignation.
พ่อแม่พี่น้องครับเราอดหลับอดนอนมาเราเสียเงินเสียทองเดินทางมาเราไม่ได้มาเพื่อสนุกสนานเรามาขับไล่ปีศาจคนชั่วร้ายให้ออกจากแผ่นดินไทย
Media tycoon Sonti Limtongkun once praised the Prime Minister's economic acumen. But that was before the Prime Minister tried to shut down a popular talk show he hosted after he criticised government oppression. The gloves are now off.
He's actually a demagogue. He's not very sincere about democracy. He's using democracy as a mean to gain power. And then once he gains power, with all the means that he has done, he always come out and claim, I have 90 million votes. So you shut up, I'll do anything I want to do.
Since the ShinCorp scandal hit the headlines, the Prime Minister's approval rating has plummeted from 78 to 34%. And new financial deals favouring the first family have been revealed.
The look of the deal is it doesn't pass the test. You can go through the list. Tax waivers for Shin Satellite, concession revenue reduction for AIS, the mobile phone operator. Again, concession revenue reduction for ITV, the TV station. The list just goes on. Loan guarantees to neighboring governments who want to buy ShinCorp products. That's the problem, and that's the culmination of what we call policy corruption that has directly led to the increased value of ShinCorp over the years.
Democracy.
Political economist Dr. Pasuk Ponpaichit says the size of the profit on the $2 billion ShinCorp deal should not be underestimated.
This Shin deal, which value about 1% of Thailand GDP, happened without the family paying a cent as taxation.
She says there are concerns that more than 10 laws may have been breached in brokering that deal.
For the illegality and the bending of the rules that he did over this Shin deal, in advanced democratic countries, it is enough for such a person to step down. And I think the people who are demonstrating against him wanted to create a new political culture for Thailand, to pressure him to step down, to be responsible and accountable for what he did, in the same way that this can happen in a developed country.
พรรคไทยรักไทยหัวใจคือประชาชน
ผมจะขอทำหน้าที่เป็นรัฐบาลที่ไม่รู้จักคำว่าเหน็ดเหนื่อยเป็นรัฐบาลที่จะทุ่มเททำงานด้วยความซื่อสัตย์สุจริต
In this now deeply divided nation, Thaksin is pushing his appeal to the rural poor, where his economic credentials count for more than the alleged corruption exciting the city dwellers. There is no doubt that many Thais from the country have done well under Thaksin. Since he came to power, rural incomes have risen and the number of people below the poverty line has almost halved.
แต่นายกคนนี้เขามาบริหารประเทศชาตินะครับค่อนข้างเขาจะทำงานให้คนลากหญ้า
Pal Monsontiat came to Bangkok in search of work. He's just bought a brand new taxi.
โอกาสให้คนที่จะมีรถมีโอกาสนะฮะเกี่ยวกับเรื่องแท็กซี่เรื่องอาทรนะครับส่วนตัวผมก็ได้มาจากรัฐบาลชุดนี้คือไทยรักไทยก็ได้แท็กซี่มา1คันนะฮะถึงก็ภูมิใจนะครับที่รัฐบาลช่วยในจุดนี้นะฮะ
On the outskirts of Bangkok, almost 8,000 farmers have gathered. They've been on the road for almost a month. Their journey supported by the Prime Minister's party faithful who have travelled out from the city to help feed them.
ผมก็รู้ทั้งอีสานทั้งเหนือเขาก็ดีครับคือเขาไม่เคยทิ้งประชาชนไม่เคยทิ้งประชาชนเป็นนายกที่ดีเป็นนายกที่ดี
The Prime Minister's rural supporters want to declare their allegiance, but for now they remain outside Bangkok to prevent possible violence. They are accused of being paid to be here, a charge this group's leader, Kumbunchan, denies.
วันนี้เกษตรกรซื้อด้วยเงินไม่ได้ครับขอรับรองด้วยเกียรตินะฮะเรามาเพื่อความปรองดองกันของคนในชาติที่มีความขัดแย้งในข้อที่1อย่างที่ผมกราบเรียนประการที่2เรามาจากใจของเรานะฮะที่รักท่านนายกทักษิณ
Thailand is now headed into uncharted territory. If an election goes ahead and a new government can't be formed, a constitutional crisis looms because Thaksin has already dissolved the parliament. Historically, political change has not come to Thailand without bloodshed. Thailand's revered monarch has so far stayed out of this political fight. Although this television footage of the last time he intervened was recently broadcast again. Back in 1992, the king forced the warring politicians into an agreement after protests turned deadly.
I think that the footage that has been shown on television about the events in 1992 is the sign for everyone in Thailand that we have to talk to each other. We should not have any confront again in order to prevent any conflict, any bloodshed.
There's now talk of the election being delayed, but the opposition line now appears more firmly drawn.
It's not going to change our decision. Just the date is not going to change our decision because our point is that we need reforms and we need to restore the spirit of the people's constitution and true democracy here.
The Prime Minister has made one concession. If he wins the election but gains less votes than those who abstain or vote against him, he will step aside.
So that is a concession that he's willing to make?
Yes.
That is as far as he's willing to go?
Yes.
Thailand's Prime Minister has shown he's prepared to fight, but his options also appear to be running out. In Bangkok for a meeting, the media waited, but he was in no mood to speak.
Prime Minister, will there be a deal with the opposition? Hungry, sir, will there be a deal?
How hungry his appetite is to remain in power may decide the course of events. His opponents remain convinced there is only one way to go.
As the day goes by, it becomes increasingly obvious that Dr. Thaksin will have to step down in some way. The longer he left it, the narrower his options were always going to become.